Hello and welcome to U plus AI's YouTube channel called Startup Reports. I am Ranga, and in this channel, I review startups that offer products and solutions at the intersection of healthcare and artificial intelligence. I am doing a COVID-19 special series now where I specifically look at startups that have solutions in various areas to tackle COVID-19. Today, we'll take a look at BlueDot. What does BlueDot do? BlueDot's mission is to protect people around the world from infectious diseases, and to do that with human and artificial intelligence. So what's been the problem so far with relate to infectious diseases? One of the typical problems is that the outbreaks of infectious diseases, be it the SARS-1, MERS, or Ebola, and then right now COVID-19, they are not reported fast enough. This is because it takes a while for agencies, public health agencies, medical agencies, and governments to understand what's going on. And as they're dealing with it probably for the first time, they take time to report that. Once they know that an outbreak is happening, there are standardized protocols for disease communication across many countries in the world. But that said, these standards are not enforced. So there is delay in letting everyone else in the world know that this outbreak has happened. Further, the outbreak impact is not estimated currently. You may very well imagine, because the estimate involves economic consequences, and no organization or country would like to go through those economic consequences. And I'm sure we have seen this in the case of COVID-19, where there are reports that China did not report it fast enough and did not report it with seriousness. The same case is true with some other countries like Iran as well. Much can be said about the role of agencies like the World Health Organization and the Centers for Disease Control in the US as well. So the aim of BlueDot is really to identify these outbreaks as soon as they occur and try to inform their clients, who could be across countries, who could be the public health authorities, governments, policy-making institutions, NGOs, whatever. So how does BlueDot really achieve this? Well, there are 4 components to achieving this. We'll talk about each one of them one by one. The first is really surveillance. And by surveillance, I mean BlueDot system attempts to scan news and online articles on the web day after day, and it searches for every 15 minutes, crunches all the news and online articles, tries to pick up articles that report about infectious diseases or outbreaks, and passes them through human expertise to correctly know whether these are indeed real outbreaks that need attention of human experts. So if you look at BlueDot system, they look for more than 150 diseases, most of them contagious diseases. Their system analyzes more than 100,000 online articles per day, spread over 65 languages. And as I said earlier, this search is done every 15 minutes, all 24 hours a day. And the process is really that first humans come in, epidemiologists and clinicians who kind of frame the problem, what to look for. Then the AI system is trained to look for these phrases. And as it ingests more and more data, NLP techniques are used to kind of flag the most important news items or phrases from the volume of data, which is again now scrutinized by human experts to classify it as a real threat or as a false alarm. And that's what really the picture at the bottom also says. Once the outbreak has been identified at a particular place in the world, the next step in the process is to really understand dispersion and impact. And by that we mean there are people who live at the epicenter of the outbreak. And in the age of globalization, they're traveling. They're traveling by air, they're traveling by sea, they're traveling by land, which means that the infected people, that is the virus, is also traveling along with the people to other places in the world. And dispersion really means to track that, to basically understand how many people have traveled from the epicenter of the outbreak, where have they traveled, and what are the conditions like in the place that they have traveled to? How is the local weather? Do they have enough public health infrastructure? Are the airports capable of handling, this volume of people that are coming there? And then based on all of this, sort of ascertain the disease impact. Is it going to have a major impact or a minor impact? And how does BlueDot do all this? Well, it uses multiple data sources. One is the sort of the geopositioning data, the GIS data. It uses the flight ticket sales. And not just that, what about people who are not traveling by flights? So that's why it uses anonymized location data from about 400 million mobile phones. Well, immediately a question of privacy comes up. Why are they looking at mobile phone data? But what the BlueDot system says is that this is anonymized. So you can never track a particular person or where he is, but it's more like aggregate data. Where are crowds of people moving between? So once the dispersion is known and the impact is sort of assessed, the next thing is you have to communicate to the people in those affected locations that, hey, there's been an outbreak and there are a lot of people traveling to your location, so you better be careful. And this information is relevant to governments, it's relevant to public health officials, airport authorities, because they probably need to put in some screening procedures, even for national defense. So if you take a look at BlueDot, some of their clients are like, the Ministry of Health in Singapore and the Public Health Agency of Canada, among many more. So that's what BlueDot does. Their system is about surveillance, dispersion, impact, and communication. So the natural question to ask is, how did this work with COVID-19? Well, it turns out that the BlueDot system highlighted articles in Chinese, that reported 27 pneumonia cases associated with the wet market in Wuhan, right? So their system did flag that. Now, based on their methodology that involves, analyzing data from anonymized location data from mobile phones, as well as flight ticket sales, the BlueDot system did cite that the first cities, after Wuhan, to receive the SARS-CoV-2 virus would be Tokyo, Hong Kong, Seoul, Taipei, and Bangkok, and pretty much that's how it played out. Of course, they had also assessed the impact that this would be quite a serious impact, and therefore advised their clients in those countries to prepare for countermeasures fast. In terms of communication, that's the part we got to, right? So after informing their clients, they did report their findings publicly in the Journal of Travel Medicine on January 14, 2020. Note that BlueDot had identified the outbreak itself on December 31st, based on the articles that came out online. Right. So actually, based on their report on January 14, these findings, BlueDot was covered in a Wired article later in January, I think January 25th. That's when sort of the world woke up to what BlueDot was doing. And of course, there have been many articles written about BlueDot and podcasts done with their founder, Kamran Khan. So what's my take on this? For me, clearly, the use of artificial intelligence plus human expertise is a winning combo. Now, we looked at how the BlueDot system works. There are humans, epidemiologists and clinicians who frame the problem. Then they train the AI to look for certain things. The AI goes ahead and crunches the copious data hour after hour, day after day, from crawling the web. And then once it crunches the data into a few items or few red flags, human expertise is again brought in to interpret whether those red flags are really red flags or false alarms. So by combining AI and human expertise, I think BlueDot has achieved a very remarkable and efficient system to report and communicate about outbreaks. My second take is that, we see that BlueDot sort of communicates this to their clients, which could be governments or public health authorities. But as we have seen in COVID-19, sometimes these authorities take time to sort of make that information known publicly. So my question then is, can the public at large have access to this data? Or in other words, can the public at large have a pandemic alert service? I'm thinking of this similar to the weather service. Now, every one of us, when we step out of our home, we do take a look at our local weather or the weather of the place that we're traveling to, and then we make suitable preparations. Similarly, would be if the service was available, would we sort of take a look at what the disease outbreak outlook looks like for our location as well as the location that we're traveling to, and would that guide our choices? Of course, the question to ask is this an early warning and preparation service, or should this be there? Would it lead to widespread panic? Fair question, and I'm definitely, we've seen as we lived through COVID-19 that there is a lot of panic when this information is made public. That said, I do think that this is still useful, because once a large number of people come to know about it, they will be able to exert pressure on their legislators, on their county officials, on their public health officials to move faster. And as we've seen with COVID-19, moving faster means you save a lot of lives. So thank you. I hope you liked that perspective. If you did, please like my video on the YouTube channel. Do connect with me on my Twitter handle @U+AI. You can also connect with me on Medium or SoundCloud. And, I'd be happy to connect with you on LinkedIn as well. So enjoy, and I will see you again in the next episode. Bye-bye.